Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? So welcome to today's episode, where we're going to dig a little deeper into the roots of food, and we're going into farm to table. You know, farm to table is not just a trend. It's really a commitment to freshness, sustainability, and honoring the farmers who pour their hearts into the land. It's about knowing exactly where your food comes from, tasting your food at its peak, and embracing the art of cooking with seasonal ingredients that tell a story of the earth. And who better to guide us through this culinary journey than our special guest today? It's Executive Chef from the Sheraton Dallas Hotel. It's Executive Chef Cheung. And he's a master at crafting dishes that celebrate local flavors and the vibrancy of farm-fresh ingredients. Today, we're going to dive into the essence of farm-to-table cooking, exploring the inspiration behind some of his recipes and discovering how a single ingredient grown with care can transform a dish into something unforgettable. So pull up a chair, get comfy, and let's talk about real food and real flavors and the magic that happens when a chef, and well, he's not really a farmer, but he is a gardener, because they do have a large garden where they get the fresh herbs from at the Sheraton Dallas. So we'll say when a chef and a farmer come together, because he actually is an expert at growing some of the herbs, and he's going to also tell us about growing, some tips on growing some of these wonderful herbs that he's using in his recipes, and he's going to give us some easy recipes that you can flavor up these herbs with also. So before we get to that, I have been getting a lot of people writing to me and asking me about some tips on growing lavender. Lavender is so beautiful. It's beautiful to look at. It's wonderful and fragrant add fragrance to dishes and flavors, but it also adds a wonderful fragrance to any room. So here are some tips, and actually Chef Cheung is going to talk about growing lavender too, but he did tell us, and you'll hear in the interview, that lavender only needs about 2 hours of sunlight a day, and it should be kept in the shade so that it keeps blooming. So that's one trick. And then the soil should be well drained. Slightly alkaline soil is ideal. If your soil is a heavy clay, you need to kind of amend it with sand or gravel to improve the drainage, because it does need drainage. Once the plant is established, lavender is drought tolerant, so you should water deeply but infrequently, allowing the soil to dry out between waterings. So don't overwater your lavender. Regular pruning in the late spring encourages new growth and more blooms. And as far as spacing goes, if you're planting multiple lavender plants, place them about 12 to 18 inches apart to allow for good air circulation. And if you're doing container gardening, if the soil drainage is poor, growing lavender in pots with drainage holes is a great option. So if you want to grow them in a container, make sure there are holes in the pots that you're growing them in. And if growing the lavender in a container during the winter, you need to move the lavender to a protected location during the winter. I know I have grow lights, and I do have indoor small little like greenhouses that I put some of my plants in for the winter. But lavender is a resilient and fragrant herb that adds beauty to any garden. And let us know if you are growing lavender, how it's doing. You can share a photo of your beautiful lavender plants or recipes that you use lavender in. Hashtag the Maria Liberati Show. Share on social media, and we will do the same. And stay tuned for my interview with Executive Chef Vincent Cheung from the Sheraton Dallas Hotel. And also, after that interview, my special guest is Charles Horn, who is a naturalist, and he has a really cool book out called Nature at Night, where we can find out what nature is doing at night, and he's going to tell us about it. And I just want to remind everyone that if you are in the Philadelphia area, this Thursday, May 15th, I will be at the Cafe Gleaner. It's in the Italian Market at 917 South 9th Street for an art benefit for CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania, and with an artist, John Donahue, and we will be interviewing John, and you'll get to see the artwork there. It's a really great event, and it supports a great cause. So I will be there from 4 to 6, and I know the artwork will be there for more than a few days. But if you can make it down on Thursday, May 15th, between 4 and 6, please stop by and say hi, and maybe we can snap a photo or two and share on social media. I'd love to meet you. See you then. Discover the timeless secrets of Italian cuisine with a Basic Art of Italian Cooking series by Maria Liberati. That's me. From fragrant basil to silky olive oil, each page is a culinary masterpiece. Taste the passion, embrace the tradition, and create your own masterpieces in the kitchen with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Buon appetito, and you can find the books on Amazon.com, Kindle, on marialiberati.com, and on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And it's spring and summer's not far away, and that means fresh produce. And today we have a special guest, Chef Cheung. He's the executive sous chef of the Sheraton Dallas Hotel, and is Open Palate. That's a restaurant there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I hear you also have a garden there. Do you do like some farm to table stuff there?
Yes, actually we do. I planted a lot of different types of herbs such as lavender, rosemary,
Uh-huh.
cilantro, lemon balm, even
Uh-huh.
the verbena as
Uh-huh.
well. All
Uh-huh.
different types that we crafted just for our mixology class. I also teach some of our international students on how we plant, how we harvest, how we utilize that complies with our brand identity, such as like sustainability, supporting our local ingredients and using it for seasonality for all our restaurant outlets,
Uh-huh.
whether it's from
Yes.
specials or to mocktails, handcrafted mocktails right there,
Uh-huh.
all different types of recipes that we planted throughout the season.
Great. Yes. So do you grow all this? Do you have a greenhouse, or are you growing these outside?
First of all, some certain vegetables and herbs, I grow them inside the property. Like I also have a hydroponic where I
Yes.
start out the seedlings, and then
Uh-huh.
once they reach up to like somewhere close to like 3 to 4 inches where the roots are strong and firm, that's when I start planting them outside.
Okay, so is
Mhm.
that what we should be telling people? Because I know a lot of people do something where they'll start seedlings, they'll have like those grow lights in their basements or something.
Hi, Maria.
I'm
I'm sorry,
sorry.
we just got lost right there.
Just yes, the camera just stopped. But go ahead. Did you hear what I said? So I had said, oh, okay. So people, they grow they'll start their seedlings under a grow light, in their
Mhm.
basement. And once they see a little shoot, they'll just put it outside. But it sounds like you're saying you should wait until,
Yes, I would highly recommend that because based on the region, like for example, being for in Texas, especially in
uh-huh,
Dallas, once we hit June, that's when early June, that's when we start planting all our plants, herbs, vegetables, all that good stuff right there. It's highly recommended that, once you started out the seedlings,
uh-huh,
based on your region where you're from, like the East region, they're normally like
yes,
around zone 4 to 6. So still a
yes,
little bit chilly. So I would say, once that frost is bypassed, that's when you could start planting them.
that's when you
June
can
will be
start.
idealistic. That would
Uh-huh.
be the best month to plant.
And what are I would say the easiest, what would you say would be the easiest herbs to grow that aren't temperamental, I think?
Like the all season long, like the rosemary, the
Yes,
thyme,
okay. Uh-huh.
oregano, those are perennial plants. They come back every year, especially once you get towards to the frost season. Like
Right.
I would say October, November, that's when I start covering it up.
Uh-huh.
So that way it will preserve the frost, preserving it not to get frostbite or,
Yes.
die over the frost season. And
Yes.
then once it's around April, I just remove it and then start fertilizing it.
Hmm.
Especially now working in the kitchen, I save a lot of those scraps like the banana peels, the eggshells,
Yes.
the leaves from our tree, like the peach tree, plum tree, nectarine tree. I save all those leaves in a compost. I even build my own compost and use it as a fertilizer right there.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Yep.
great. That's a great idea. I hear banana leaves are especially good for
Mhm.
fertilizing, right?
Yes, yes. Anything that is like vegetable based or tree bark, you could even mulch it
Uh-huh.
and use it to cover your garden beds right there. So that way it gives a little bit extra of nutrients and fertilizer right
Nutrients.
there.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's a great idea. So you said the easiest things to grow are rosemary, oregano,
Uh-huh. And thyme
and thyme.
and basil too.
And
Yeah.
basil. Okay.
Yes.
So there, if people want to start out growing things and making their dishes more flavorful, because I
Yes.
always think people don't use enough herbs in their dishes. They don't realize that they just add so much flavor and health benefits, right?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Like for the basil, the funny thing is recently, especially, yeah, recently, I've harvested a lot of those seeds, like
Uh-huh.
from the flora.
Right.
And I dried them. I could reuse them for next year, or you put it in a sachet,
Hmm.
put it right inside your car, use it as a fragrance.
Wow, that's a great idea. That's a
Yeah.
great idea. A great
They have
idea
that
to use.
strong smell right there. Very, very
Yes,
strong aroma.
definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. That's great. So, give us an idea of maybe some recipes that people can use with people can have those, use those herbs if they grow those herbs.
Oh,
Some
definitely.
different ideas for things they can cook that with.
Like for the basil, especially if you have a very strong background, being Italian, a lot
Yes.
of folks like using the basil, whether making a tomato basil soup or basil vinaigrette, pairing it up with some citrus, whether it's lemon, lime, orange, shallots, grapeseed oil. It goes fantastic. You make yourself a nice, easy vinaigrette right there,
Right.
And, you could even sun dry them, crush them up, and then use it
Right.
as a garnish on top of like as simple as a pasta or fold it in with the existing salad right there.
That's a great idea. And can you, have you, I mean, I know I do. Do you freeze your basil? Like, have you ever done
Um,
that or?
I did before, but what we noticed is that once you freeze them, if you don't use them immediately,
Yeah,
it'll turn dark on you. Mhm.
exactly. If I freeze it, I only have it for a short period of time.
Correct.
So, yes, that's absolutely
Or you
right.
could make it like a herb oil, and you could freeze it too, and use it while you're ready to saute some vegetables or pastas right there, or any
Ex
protein.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, basil's great, and it's great to saute with tomatoes, right? Tomatoes, olive oil, and
hmm
garlic.
hmm
Definitely. How about rosemary? What any ideas for rosemary?
For rosemary, when we harvest it, we normally infuse it more like
Uh,
with the mocktail.
uh-huh.
And then
Oh,
sometimes I could also infuse it with the oil and then use it as, for some dietary restriction for our folks in our hotel. A
uh-huh.
lot of them requested like oil and vinegar. So
Oh,
what I do is
yes.
that instead of giving them a regular olive oil, I infuse it right there, including with our oreganos, our thyme, just to give that nice little extra palate taste right there.
Exactly. And it's so much better for you than buying the pre-made dressings that are out there and so much more flavorful. Uh,
Exactly, yes.
That's a great idea for that. Let's see. And then we said time. What do you any favorite things to do with time?
Time, a lot of times once I harvest it, I chop them up and I use it to marinate our proteins like the chicken, our fish, our
Uh-huh.
shrimp. depending on our menu that our guests selected, a lot of time is more leaning more towards on the Italian and the Mediterranean cuisines.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
And what about, I know at the beginning you mentioned lavender, that you grow lavender. Lavender is sometimes a little tricky to grow.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us about that, about if somebody wants to grow their own lavender, because it's so fragrant and it's wonderful to
Hmm.
use. You can use that many different ways.
Yes. So for the lavender, well, being in the state of Texas, when I grow my
Yes,
lavenders, I have to make sure I grow it nearby a tree where I could
right.
use the tree to offer the shade right there. So that way it
Uh-huh.
doesn't get burned by the sun, So that will be your best bet right there. Or you
Uh-huh.
could put it in a transportable pot, a flower
Yes.
pot, and then move them around where the sun doesn't hit it so much.
So
But
lavender like shade. The
yes.
lavender plants like shade. Ah, that's interesting. That's very
Hmm.
interesting. So
Yes.
if you want to grow lavender, grow it where there's a shady spot then.
Yes, because
Uh,
all it requires is only 2 hours of sunlight, no more than four. Once you go past 4 to 6 hours, that's it. You're adding so much heat and
uh-huh.
stress to it, it's not going to bloom any more of those flowers as well. And then it blooms
Ah, I
quickly right
see.
away.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's interesting. So once we've grown lavender, do you have any favorite things to do with it, with the lavender?
Uh, I like to infuse it with the agave and then drizzle on top of the seasonal fruit, like any
Oh, that sounds great.
melons, honeydew, cantaloupes, and even pineapple. It adds
Uh-huh.
a nice little texture and that flavor right there.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds
Hmm.
really good. Yes. Um, any other, before we go, I think we're almost out of time, but before we go, any other recipe you would like to share for a mocktail, or a recipe for spring that's really kind of something maybe that you do there?
Hmm. For the peach, we also have peach tree. We got the donut peach. So
Uh-huh.
by around late June, once they start blooming and ready to harvest around June and July, we,
Yes.
we, we handpick them. We let it sit for like a day or two, and
Uh-huh.
then we prepare it. We grill it, toss it with a nice extra virgin olive oil, my lavenders,
Uh-huh.
agave, and then make a nice little fruit salad right there with some basils as well.
Oh, wow, that sounds
Very
wonderful.
refreshing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
very refreshing. That sounds so great. Chef,
Hmm.
thank you so much for being here. And so you're with the Sheraton Dallas Hotel. You're the executive sous chef, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
At the Sheraton Dallas, and Open Palette Restaurant is where people can go to try these recipes, right?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
try some of your dishes.
Yes,
Open Palette
exactly.
at and the Open Palette is at the Sheraton Hotel in Dallas, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
I thank you very much for inviting me.
Sure. Join me on a mouth-watering journey through Italy with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, which brings you authentic recipes, heartwarming stories, and a dash of Mediterranean magic. Whether you're a seasoned chef or a beginner, these books will awaken your inner food artist. Get ready to say ciao to delicious adventures. And you can find the Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, at Amazon.com on Kindle and on marialiberotti.com and the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. Great. And my guest is Charles Hood. He is a naturalist, an author, and
Well, they put explorer on my bio
explorer. Well,
sheet.
that's definitely. And he is the author of a really interesting book called Nature at Night. Wow. I've put in wilderness cameras sometimes so I can see nature at night, but I can't always do that. So I love to just, see nature at night. It's just so neat. So how did you come up with the idea of doing this book?
Well, I think like a lot of your listeners, when I think about nature, I sort of imagine the sun is shining and there's green, there's a
Right,
meadow and there's some
right.
birds and a butterfly, and the sun is out. And
Exactly.
of course, that's ridiculous, not least of which because I personally live in the desert. So
Ah,
I shouldn't buy into that kind of, green centric mentality. Uh,
yes.
but the reality is nature doesn't stop. It doesn't have like it doesn't clock off at the end of the day. So it's
Exactly.
24 hours. And if we don't think about nature at night, we're missing out on an awful lot of really great, cool
Exactly. So tell
experiences.
us, know I do have I have security cameras, so I sometimes get to see stuff um that I'm like, wow, look at this, just, deer coming in and sleeping and having their babies there and stuff like that, which is really neat. But tell us about some other interesting things that we may miss unless, because we're not seeing this at night. But you're right, people think of nature, sun, plants, stuff we see during the day.
Well, just to give one example, if we like dolphins, I mean, most of us
Uh-huh.
like dolphins, and we've seen them on a whale watching trip or something. The reason
Yes.
they're frolicking around and dancing by the boat is because that's their day off. For the dolphins, many species worldwide, they've been feeding at night. And so
Uh-huh.
what happens in the ocean, there's a vertical migration. So the phytoplankton, the things that eat sunlight, the little plant things are up at the
Right.
surface. But things that
Right.
want to eat them don't want to be at the surface during the daytime because they'll get eaten. So a huge amount of ocean life is down below
Uh-huh.
several hundred feet where it's dark, even down to a couple
Uh-huh.
thousand feet, and that vertically migrates up at night. And we're talking trillions and trillions and trillions of organisms. So like if we think of the Serengeti or the caribou in Alaska, that ain't nothing compared to what all the little critters are doing, all the zooplankton. And behind the zooplankton then are the squid, and then behind the squid are the dolphins because they have echolocation. They don't care if the sun is out or night. They can hunt at night. So this
Yeah.
entire ecosystem of trillions and trillions, every day of the year worldwide, the ocean is really doing its thing at night.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff that we are not seeing unless you have a camera somewhere, right, observing that.
Well, one reason they figured this out was through sonar. They were trying, during World War II, we were looking for enemy submarines. They were hitting these
Right.
sort of banks of organisms. They thought, is there mud or there, what is there a mountain down there? Is solid, massive things well below the surface, waiting to come up. And
Uh-huh.
then one indicator is actually was on American submarines in the 1970s. They
Uh-huh.
had neoprene, this the scuba diver suit over
Right.
the housings for the sonar, but chunks keep getting yanked out of it, and no one could figure out what was going on. And it turns out that as all the animals are going up to the surface, there's a predator called a cookie cutter shark
Oh,
because its
wow.
mouth creates a little divot, like you're going to make
Uh-huh.
Christmas cookies. It's got really sharp teeth, and so it zaps the dolphins as they go past and takes a little.
Uh-huh.
It corkscrews in and grabs a little mouthful of flesh and peels away. Well, as the submarines went by, they looked like a whale, and so the cookie cutter sharks were eating the whale skin, the neoprene, and wrecking the sonar. So that was in the 1970s. They figured this
Oh,
out.
wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. So is there something, like I said, I do have I had wilderness cameras, now I have security cameras. So I do get a little glimpse of some of the stuff that goes on my property, like at night, where, you're getting some animals coming in and you get to see some of that stuff that you wouldn't see because a lot of them move around at night. So, but is there any recommendations you would have, like if anyone wants to, other than obviously reading your book, because I'm sure not everybody's going to be able to find out, put a camera in the ocean or something. So they definitely need to read about that. But some things that people can take advantage of, or is there any?
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean the Nature at Night book does have a little, how to get started thing, but we can just give you a little preview. Get a little
Yes.
$10 UV flashlight from Amazon. We're
Uh-huh.
talking, the most base level model because
Right.
some things fluoresce under UV light, and you can
Uh-huh.
go out for a walk, and that includes lichen.
Uh-huh.
So we know that the little plant things, the plant
Yes.
fungus, mix, algae fungus mix, they like it.
Uh-huh.
Not all species, but some fluoresce under UV light, and every scorpion in the world fluoresces under UV light.
There you
And
go.
so that is really, they're bright blue, like they're really, it's really fun to see them. And then
Right.
botanists were out looking for the lichens that glow in the dark, and they saw this pink thing fly through the view, and it was a glow in the dark squirrel that no one knew
Uh-huh.
about. They knew the squirrel was out there. This is northern flying squirrel, but it
Right.
turns out their pelage, the term for their fur, fluoresces under UV light. Nobody knew, but one flew in front of a botanist looking for lichen at night. And then they went into the museum, and it turns out like a platypus, for example, glows under UV light.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's theories about why, but
Uh-huh.
I'll just say honestly, nobody really knows like the definitive
Right.
answer. There's some,
Yes.
there's some reasons that it might be advantageous if you need vitamin D and so on, but really,
Uh-huh.
this is for your listeners who are planning to get that second PhD. You should really
Yes.
specialize in fluorescing mammals because the field is wide open.
Oh, wow. That's,
It'd be What a fun thing, right? I'm doing my
yeah,
homework, Mom. I'm going out with a flashlight to go look for animals to glow in the dark.
exactly. Exactly, exactly. Definitely. That's very interesting. It's an interesting thing to do. Or if get that, take your kids out at night and, look with the UV light. That's a really interesting thing to do. So, Charles, we're almost out of time. Tell us where can people find the book?
So the book is called Nature at Night, and it has a long subtitle: "Discover the hidden world that comes alive after dark."
There
I'm
you
sorry,
go.
I didn't write that part. But if you go to the Timber Press website, that's my
Uh-huh.
publisher. They have a link on there, and
Okay.
they have a discount too.
Do you have a website also that
Yeah,
we?
I'm at charleshoodbooks.com, and I
Uh-huh.
answer all email. If someone has a question about Nature at Night, just email me through the website, and I'll answer within a day or two.
Oh, that's great. That's great. There you go. Thank you so much. And hopefully, if you're do another book in the near future, please let us know. We'd love to have you on
Yes.
again.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you very much. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
And thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. And thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's special guest. And just a reminder that I will be at the Cafe Gleaner. We'll be doing a live recorded broadcast from the Cafe Gleaner at 917 South 9th Street in the Italian Market in Philadelphia on Thursday, May 15th. I will be there from 4 to 6. It's a benefit for Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania for CHOP. So if you can come out, please do. Thursday, May 15th from 4 to 6 p.m. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, the website for this show, themarialiberattishow.com, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, on Twitter or X at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, our YouTube channel called The Maria Liberati Show, our channel on the Binge Network called The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati. And you can also find my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, at Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, Barnes & Noble, and marialiberati.com, and on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And really anywhere books are sold. And if you can't find the books, just send us an email at info@marialiberati.com. And again, if you have any lavender or any herb plants that you'd like to share a picture of, or recipes that you love using your herbs with, your freshly grown herbs, please share it with us on social media, hashtag the Maria Liberati Show, and we will share with our audience. And until next time, peace, love, and pasta.